We are going to discuss about what is language across the curriculum. In order to know about what is language across the curriculum, we have to first know what is language. So today we are going to learn about what is language and the principles, what are the principles of language and what are the functions of language. This topic is familiar to all of us, but I am giving a small part tips of information about what is language. So we will move on to the topic, what is language. First of all, we will discuss what is language. Language is something which you need to communicate. What we need to communicate the feeling, thoughts, etc. of our feeling, thought, etc. to others. So language is most important in our life. In ancient period onwards, people give language, people talk language, or people make gestures in order to communicate each other. Then what do you mean by language? Language is a medium through which one can express one's idea, thoughts, feeling, etc. Not only idea, not only the thoughts, not only the feelings, all these things that we communicate, we express with the medium is that medium. That medium is known as language. So language is a medium through which one can express one's idea, thoughts, feelings, etc. I am giving very simple words in order to explain it. Next, what are the aims of language teaching? Why you teach language? What is our aim as a teacher in order to teaching language? First of all, it's ability to understand speaking language. First, the student or a child learn to speak. In order to make it good, proficient, we have to teach, have to learn it. So the first aim of the language teaching is ability to understand speaking language, ability to read. In order to read, we have to teach. Development of creative thinking or the creative skills. In order to develop creative skills, we have to teach properly the language. We have to teach language properly. Ability to understand the specific aspect of a language. In order to understand the specific aspect of language, you have to teach it properly. Then principles of language teaching. The main principle is the principle of exercise. That means more exercise, more you do it, more you speak it, more you write it, you will learn more. So exercising is a better thing in order to teaching language. Second one is, it could be child-centered learning. The language delivering will be in a child-centered manner. Then only the child will be interested in learning. So we have to teach it as child-centered learning. Next one is principle of exposure to the language. The exposure is the main thing in order to develop the language. The exposure of already I stated that expression and exposure is the main thing. In order to express various aspects we need in language, we have to make exposure to the student to learn language well. Motivation and interest. Principle of motivation and interest. Motivation and interest is the main thing in order to develop the language. You have to motivate and make interest. Oral approach. We know that the very important thing in the language is to speak properly. By speaking properly, we can make the language good. Next one is principle of habit formation. We had to make a habit formation of language learning correlated with life. We had to correlate it with life. So language is correlated to our life, so we have to correlate it in the classroom also. Principle of individual difference. You know that the students are not identical. All are different in different aspects. So we have to consider the individual difference in order to teach language also. Functions of language. The main function is information function. In order to give information about the about anything that you have to know language in order to give proper information. For example, if you are in a going to different country and going to another country, you have to know about what is happening there. In order to know it, you had to learn the language properly. Next one, expressive one. In order to express things properly, already I stated it. Directive function, not to direct many things. We need a language. Preservative function, not to preserve. You know that most of the things that we preserve on the basis of based upon the language. Language is good for preserving many things that we write it in a book and preserve it. Here it means that cultural preservation, etc. Language can be divided into the functions of language can be divided into two. First one is primary function, and the second is secondary function. The main and the primary function of language is expression, in order to express things. Then the secondary functions. Secondary functions are directive function, in order to direct something to the students. Next one is communicative function, in order to communicate with each other. Next one is assertive function, in order to know, in order to make proper understanding, we needed a language of various not know various things. We have to know we have to learn properly the language in order to explain various things, etc. Preservative function, that means preserving our culture, etc. Next one is cultural function. Culture, in order to preserve our culture, we needed a language. Informationary function, we later discuss about the preservation and cultural background of the language, etc. Functions in the classroom. What are the functions in the classroom? Information function, in order to give information in the classroom. Communication, proper communication, in order to make proper communication or interaction, we have to teach language very well. Next, instrumental function, in order to make proper functioning of all instruments, that means teaching, learning, all these things needed language, proper language. Regulatory function, not to regulate various things, we need a language. Personal function, each and every person needed language in order to develop themselves. Imaginative, we are imagining, most of the time we are imagining things. The imagination is based upon the language itself. So language means it's an expression, in order to use it. It's used for, it's a medium for expressing your thoughts, ideas, etc. Then in school, different languages are used. We have to be proficient about these languages. So we are concluding our topic. Language. What is language? In a simple sentence, I said what is language and what are their functions in the classroom and also general functions. So I think you understand all the areas. So I'm concluding this session, and we will see in the next class. Okay.